Before reaching for another bottle of pesticide this spring, pause and consider an alternative. Last season, you spent $200 on sprays, yet deer still found their way to your tomatoes. There is a living fence you can grow for under $50 in seeds that tackles both issues at once. 7 specific plants, each backed by peer-reviewed research, can help. 5 of them are rated as rarely damaged by deer, according to Rutgers Cooperative Extension. This is not vague folklore. Farmers across Asia, Europe, and the Americas have cultivated these plants for over 2,000 years, and science has now explained why. One of these plants will even delight your cat. Plant number 5 is especially disliked by deer. Now, the strategy breaks down into 3 parts. First, 3 inexpensive annuals you can plant this weekend. Second, 2 resilient perennials that strengthen every year, along with pet safety guidance. Third, compound effect plants that peak in their 3rd year, including one discovered in an Egyptian tomb from 3000 BC. Plant 1 should be in the ground before the 90-second mark. Basil is the first plant. My grandmother grew it between her tomato plants, and it was not only for cooking. A 2022 study published in Insects Journal through MDPI found that basil companion planting increased lacewing colonization rates by 72 to 92% compared to solo plantings. Lacewings consume aphids. Basil releases chemical signals, methylchavicol and linalool, that invite these beneficial insects, making your garden a home base for them. Plant basil 1 to 1.5 feet from main crops. Rutgers rates it as level B for deer resistance. Deer may occasionally taste it, but it is not their main target and is generally safe around pets, children, and chickens. Plant along walkways for maximum effect. The second plant, marigold, drastically reduces whitefly egg counts. In Mexico, marigolds have accompanied food crops for over 2,000 years, long before Columbus arrived. A 2020 study in PLUS1 measured whitefly egg laying on cotton with marigold companions, showing a drop from 8 eggs per hour to barely half an egg, a 94% reduction within a single growing season. Marigold roots produce alpha-terpenol, a compound that kills soil nematodes naturally. Plant them 2 months before your main crop, spacing half a foot to 1 foot apart. Rutgers rates them level A for deer resistance. Large amounts can cause mild mucosal irritation if ingested, so pets should not graze on them, but they are not toxic. The third plant, lemongrass, grows into a 4-foot living wall. Farmers in India and Southeast Asia have used lemongrass in food and traditional medicine for centuries. Mature clumps contain citral oil in concentrations high enough that deer routinely avoid them. A 2025 study in entomology journals measured lemongrass oil against grain weevils and found 98.4% repellent activity. Lemongrass shows 5% mortality at 72 hours. The active compound is geraniol, part of the citral family. It disables 2 detoxification enzymes insects rely on to neutralize chemical threats. They cannot adapt, so they leave. Space lemongrass 2 to 3 feet apart. It grows into a 4-foot wide clump, creating both a physical barrier and a chemical deterrent. As a perennial in zones 8 through 11, treat it as an annual or overwinter indoors in zones 6 and 7. Pet note, lemongrass contains compounds that may irritate the digestive system in dogs and cats if eaten directly. Plant it where pets can walk past and smell it, but not comfortably graze. Think garden border, not a low, accessible patch. With 3 plants, your short-term defense is set. The living fence that strengthens each year comes from the perennials, and one of them will delight your cat. Garlic chives are the 4th plant. They have been used in East Asian cooking and traditional medicine for over 1,000 years, often planted along field borders. Aphid pressure dropped, even if the mechanism was not fully named. Research from the National Sustainable Agriculture Information Service found garlic chive extract, at a 2% concentration, produced 75% aphid mortality within 24 hours. The active compounds, diallyl disulfide and allicin, disrupt the insect enzyme system. Plant garlic chives 1 foot apart as a perennial in zones 3 through 9. Rutgers rates them strong level A for deer resistance. Important pet note, garlic chives are part of the allium family, which can damage red blood cells in dogs, cats, and chickens. The ASPCA lists this family as toxic for these animals. The solution is simple. Grow garlic chives in a raised bed or fenced section. If pets or chickens range freely, the deterrent effect still extends through volatile compounds in the air. Strategic placement is key. Plant number 5 is catmint. Your cat will go wild, while deer avoid it. The Greek physician Dioscorides described catmint in the 1st century AD, nearly 1900 years before a USDA Agriculture Research Service team confirmed why it works. A 2009 study from USDA researchers found nepetalactone, the active compound in catmint, repelled 96% of stable flies at 20 milligrams per application. Nepetalactone disrupts insect pheromone communication, making aphids unable to coordinate near a catmint patch. For deer, The volatile oil concentration simply makes the area smell unpleasant. Rutgers rates catmint level A for rare deer damage. Space 1.5 to 2 feet apart as it spreads. It is perennial in zones 3 through 9. One of the hardiest plants on the list, cats will roll in it, which is harmless and amusing. The pet safety summary so far. Basil and rosemary are safe for everyone. Marigold and catmint are generally safe with minor considerations. Keep lemongrass out of pets' grazing reach. Garlic chives should be kept completely separate from dogs, cats, and chickens. With these 5 plants, your dual-purpose defense is established. Next are the compound effect plants, which strengthen every year. A 2024 peer-reviewed trial documented complete mortality of a target insect species with plants 6 and 7. The 6,000-year story begins in an Egyptian tomb with plant number 6, lavender. A 2024 peer-reviewed study in agronomy measured lavender oil against thrips. Researchers documented complete mortality within 7 days. The Mediterranean has relied on lavender for centuries for preservation in daily life. The same scent that relaxes the human nervous system acts as a strong chemical signal to insects and deer, prompting them to move elsewhere. The active compounds are linalool and linaloyl acetate. Linalool interferes with insect nervous system function at the concentration a mature lavender plant produces, especially in year 3 and beyond. The effect is consistent and measurable. Space plants 1.5 to 3 feet apart. Wider spacing improves air circulation and prevents fungal issues. Lavender requires full sun and excellent drainage. Rutgers rates it level A for deer resistance. Pet note, linalool can cause digestive upset in dogs and cats if they consume significant foliage. Walking past it is safe, but avoid letting pets graze on the branches. A gardener in Zone 6 reported that 3 years after planting lavender, she stopped buying bug spray entirely. That is the compound effect. Plant number 7 is rosemary. Rosemary was found in Egyptian tombs dating back to 3000 BC, showing 5,000 years of documented use. This is the same plant your local garden center sells for $3. A 2006 study in the Journal of Economic Entomology measured rosemary oil applied once to greenhouse tomatoes and found spider mite populations dropped by 52% from a single application. The active compounds, 1,8-cineol and alpha-pinene, act as both a repellent and an egg-laying deterrent. Insects detect these compounds in the air and avoid settling. Rosemary works around the clock with 2 to 3 feet spacing, full sun, well-draining soil, and a pH of 6 to 7. It grows into a large woody shrub, providing a structural barrier on top of its chemical deterrent. It is perennial in zones 7 through 10. Zone 6 gardeners should use the ARP variety, which tolerates cold down to minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Rosemary is listed as non-toxic by the ASPCA for dogs, cats, and children, making it a worry-free garden border choice. Lavender and rosemary close out the list because every plant in the Lamiaceae family, lavender, rosemary, catmint, accumulates its highest concentration of volatile repellent oils in year 3 and beyond. Research on Lamiaceae secondary metabolite development supports this pattern. Practically, year 1 you plant, year 2 it grows, year 3 the chemical deterrent reaches full strength, and it remains effective as long as the plant lives. No reordering, no respraying. The living fence builds itself and strengthens every year. 7 plants together provide a complete living fence. Annuals, basil, marigold, and lemongrass form a fast response layer for warmer zones, tackling both pests and deer for under $20 in combined seed cost. Perennials, garlic chives, catmint, lavender, and rosemary create a compound effect layer. All 4 are Rutgers level A for deer resistance and peak in year 3. Place alliums carefully if you have pets. The others are pet safe and worry-free. The average American homeowner spends over $600 annually on pesticides. A standard deer fence costs $4,000 installed, according to home improvement surveys. 7 seed packets, most under $10 each from Burpee or Johnny's, total under $50. 3 years from now, when lavender and rosemary reach year 3, your neighbor will lean over the fence and ask what you did. That is the compound effect. The catmint, plant number 5, described by Dioscorides in the 1st century AD, was confirmed by USDA researchers to repel 96% of insects. This pattern holds across all 7 plants today. Grandma's wisdom validated by 21st century science. Plant once, protect forever. Happy gardening.